Welcome to FedScoop TV and our special series on digital transformation. I'm your host, Wyatt Cash, and today we're with Dave Shive, Chief Information Officer with the General Services Administration. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
I'd love to ask a little bit about your perspective. Federal IT managers recognize that digital transformation is an important part to delivering mission services, but it also takes modernizing some of these legacy IT systems.
Sure.
Can you point to a couple of examples of where GSA in particular has made real concrete steps towards modernizing its IT?
Sure, I'm happy to. So we've been doing this for a while now, so I'll focus on stuff we've just done in the last year or so. We've done some very practical things, like we've moved our data analytics and predictive analytics capability and ecosystem out to the cloud. And we moved our core financial systems out to the cloud, which is a big enterprise system, moved to the cloud. That comes on the tail of moving significant infrastructure out to the cloud over the last 3 or 4 years. There are not many big targets left. One of them is our HR system, which we'll be working on over the next year or so. But now we're down to the component level. We're looking at shared components that we can move out to the cloud and leverage so that other legacy systems can use those. But our move to the cloud isn't just systems, it's also organizational capability. So we're spending a lot of time transforming our workforce as well so that they can effectively operate in this world. So it's been a good year for us, and we're excited about what's coming up next year.
Terrific. Well, you mentioned the cloud. How have advances in cloud services, containerization, agile development changed your outlook about what's possible over the next 18 months to modernize government IT systems?
Right. So like I mentioned, we've been doing this for a while, so we have a pretty firm grasp on what the art of the possible is. And we base a great number of our decisions on things like containerization and agile and moving stuff to the cloud based on a real track record now, 3 or 4 years of doing this. So we're focusing our attention on, instead of major systems, which we've done, at what we call the common services level. Most systems these days, they have a common layer that's very similar. It's a workflow system that transacts something down its life cycle. And we found that if we can transform that capability out to the cloud, then we can have an order management system capability or a rent management system capability sit on top of that. So we're moving those common services out to the cloud and then putting that configuration management that manages the business of GSA, either holding that internal for an extended period of time or transforming that out to the cloud as well.
Well, we also you kind of talked about your workforce, and we know that digital transformation also depends on redirecting your workforce skills. So what needs to happen to ensure agencies are able to have the right skills and the talent in their IT operation? And as you evolve towards the cloud and those skills change, how do you manage that?
Right, that's a really great question, Wyatt. So what we found since we've been doing this for a while is that if you don't modernize your workforce, you don't modernize their skills and their capabilities, you create great risk for your organization because they can't maintain the things that you've transformed to. We spend a lot of time and effort in training our staff in Agile and cloud management, which is different than on-prem management and traditional waterfall delivery. But we also do things like go to meetups. We go to the places where people who are doing this great stuff are, and we interact with them. We rub shoulders with them. We look for opportunities to come alongside other entities, organizations that are doing this well, and find work and projects where we can work alongside them. We take people in our organization that are doing things well already, and we do our version of TED Talks. We call them Tech Talks, and we talk to the entirety of the IT organization so they can learn from that expertise and then adopt some of that themselves.
Sounds like an exciting process and from a workforce standpoint as well.
It is indeed.
And lastly, how is your agency planning ahead for the continuing surge in data? As we know, there's more just sources and more of a flood of data coming in, and trying to both get the analytic tools into the hands of the people that need to manage it, and also just making sure that you're able to manage that into the future?
Right. So I mentioned at the top of the discussion our data analytics and predictive analytics capability moving to the cloud. That was step number 3 or 4 that had a couple of preceding steps. So we recognize in the GSA enterprise, data is one of our most valuable assets, and not just public building data or acquisition data, but the data as a whole. And we suspected that if we could act against that data as a singular unit rather than siloed data, that we might know some smart things. You know, we might know that the things building managers buy, which is acquisition data and building data, if we mash those together, we could probably learn some things and drive some efficiencies into that. So over the last year, we've spent a lot of time building that predictive analytics and data analytics capability so that we can act against our data as a singular entity. It's been a great process. I'm not a big fan of doing IT for the sake of IT or IT leading these type of initiatives, but this is one example where we're able to put in an ecosystem, which was a system, some integration into the various data sets in the organization, and training our people to effectively act against that data where IT worked with our business partners to build that ecosystem, and we're starting to see really great outcomes there. So.
Well, I've happened to see some of the visualization charts and diagrams and dashboards that have been laid on top of some of that to help make the findings of that analytics pretty useful as well.
Absolutely. You know, pretty charts and graphs are, they're great, they're helpful, but our greatest value, even beyond that, is getting data scientists to get in there and dig in and know some things so that we can not only inform our decision makers, but predict what's going to happen in the future. We're having a lot of success with that so
That's
far.
terrific.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, Shive, thanks so much for coming by, sharing some of your insights over at GSA, and wish you continued good luck with that.
Thanks, Wyatt. Appreciate it.
Great.
Take care.
I'm Wyatt Cash with FedScoop TV. Thanks for watching.